Inshallah and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings. I'm super excited to be here. Holistic medium and subtle energetic surgeon, Tanya D. Welcome to my daily snippet. It's my show where I actually muse about the elements, the cosmic weather, a chakra, or three, share a card or five, a totem animal, an archangel, an affirmation, and so much more. So this show actually started with me just following the moon, the lunar cycle of the moon through human design. I follow the moon as a reflector. I did it innately. And I knew nothing about reflector human design at that time. But I just wasn't feeling it with the human design coaches out there. I don't know if it's because of my reflectordom. So I went off and shared my own findings. I'm going to be on Walk the Talk broadcast later on today, so be sure to check that out. I'm going to probably share it in the link or throughout the day. We're going to talk about indigenous technologies in a modern world, a divination spread, and some more, and just see where that goes. So what does your heart desire? You know, we all know what our surrounding hearts desire, the environment around us, but oftentimes our own heart is not the one that we actually tune into. And today we have this metal or a Zheng Daymaster and a monkey on the branch. So it's like this Zhang Shen Day. I love learning new words. But look at all that metal energy in the chart today. We need the element that takes away from that metal. So water and wood, we could bring in more fire as well because our Daymaster is already supported. So we really don't need more earth because we already have that support system. So you kind of have to go to the other elements that aren't seen as much. We do have some hidden water in the branches there, but I would probably call in some more water or even fire. We could also bring in fire. So wood's going to give that metal energy a job, something to do. You know, where you can metaphorically, metaphysically, or you can chop at wood to create a form, right? And the water is the form of the output. So it's communication, divining. This person could probably be a diviner, actually, a healer. So if I was reading this chart of this person, they probably kind of have some rivalry at work or even with the sibling. They don't get along. So yin and yang, they're not in the same element. So yin, the yin Daymaster or the yang Daymaster with the month being yin, they might have struggles with parents as well, or their ancestors even, going against the grid. So metal energy is great for decision making. Water energy would bring in the flow to that ability, whatever that looks like. You could sit by a lake, fill a glass of water, watch the bubbles form naturally in the water. Best thing to do in the evening, right? Great little advice, actually, to put that on your nightstand. It feels kind of like a harsh, kind of scratchy kind of day. And I actually dated somebody once for a while who actually had a water Daymaster, but they had a bunch of metal in their chart. So he had a great voice, but was abrupt in his narrative as far as communication. Abrupt and kind of scratchy. He had a lot of metal, and I have lots of fire, so I was actually able to reshape his energy in a way. So that's kind of how this kind of works. I work for healing, actually. So we have the large intestine there getting a little overworked. So you have to bring in, the other elements to bring in balance. Bring in some sweetness of life. Salty foods probably would help this metal person as far as the flavor goes. But like all things that appear good, they also come to an end. That's kind of like the lesson learned in a journey sometimes in life with all this metal and shaping. That's why that particular relationship ended its journey. So there's a blessing in the endings, right? And I'm going to get to that later today. But there's no reason to fight the change that we often, that's just often what we do. We fight, we resist the change. So enough of that there, but the energy of today is one of a kind of a serious nature. The feelings might be coming or running out of time, like we don't have enough time or time is of the essence. And I spent most of the day yesterday, I was rearranging rooms, including my bedroom, which if you know me, I spend the nights outdoors until the snow flies. I prefer the fresh air of nature, the outer world over the inner one. If you can spend some time grounding your feelings in nature, doing like a walking meditation, some kind of movement that gets your physical energy moving and your subtle energy as well, the subtle energy body. So if you have like a reservoir of feelings about something, it could really be a task actually to focus today and to focus your energy. I kind of started off rough a little this morning. My father just came home from Alaska, so I had to kind of readjust my morning routine there. And if your emotional field is scattered, it might create a grid, a deadlock, where your effort is blocked and you can't kind of move forward and you don't know why. There's nothing really in front of you, but you can feel the energy of it. Or we end up going in circles, like on the merry-go-round, round and round and round. So you kind of want to ask yourself, in what direction do you really want to go? How do you want your being to unfold according to your personal belief channel? How do you project your unique self or your perspective of beliefs into your physical reality? So it's like a frame and a camera of how we see life. So what's shifting today or transforming is our belief structure and whatever decisions that we're making. So the earth is in the opposing sign of Pisces. So whatever decision we make today, it kind of creates and manifests a cycle of a new spiritual spiral. So spiritual cycles or experiences that our soul actually intends to have on our earthly existence. Sometimes we call this fate or destiny. I think fate is something that happens and destiny is what we do with it. So we can always, we always have a path to choose. So in our decision-making skills today, you could sense a feeling of importance or a path that the feeling is kind of more of, for me, it's definitely on the spiritual incline underneath the physical choices that we make in our day-to-day. It's really just a day to create and decide what path or direction that your heart's desire, or what does your heart desire really? Where does your heart really want to live from in your beingness? So you don't really want to sell yourself short. Myself, I'm committed to organizing and changing my home, different aspects of my life that actually affect my personal emotional security, the choices I make. They actually have to come from my heart space. And I listen to my intuition for guidance and also those warning signals, that intuitive alert signal that really just comes online. So what you might see on the outside is actually a shift in my image that you see me as in my, it's called our reputation. I talk about that in the Energy Body Demystified, how to shift our reputation from what people see us as versus what we truly are in our day-to-day, even shifting a different narrative in behavior. So I'm sticking in the thread lines of what my heart truly believes, and not for the sake of commitments in my personal narrative, my story, that image. So it's a great day to really meditate on the path, the journey in life. It's going to serve our heart in a higher, greater, escalated good, elevated, right? Life elevated. And decide, the first thing I really want to listen to, it would be my heart. And be engaged and excited about the path, the journey, And then my intuition, if I have no warning signals, no alert signs, if the alerts pile up, sometimes. So I'm really super stoked about my path without having any resistance in the way. Then my intuition, the being, it's important as it chooses a spiritual cycle, a circle. That's something that's more of a feeling than anything. So I have to literally in my day-to-day, it's always about my feelings and my intuition. My feelings and what does my mind think about it? My feelings and my sensor, I'm always in my sensor gateway of all the senses. So it's like taking responsibility of an energy today that you have changing. You have the ability to change the power in your life. And we also have the focus, like where we can hone in on what truly is important in our day-to-day. So we have this energy also to follow through, and all it takes, is to decide or commit, more importantly. So there's this elevated process and this escalating process to really make a decision based on our heart and our intuition and our feelings. And our mind is only there to actually take note of the answer. So for myself, I'm committed to living life elevated or at least escalated. And also today, our third eye is online. It's open. So the magic of our third eye. So did you know that when you have visions with color, that's your third eye? That's what's activated. That's what's speaking in and through you. Any color, a dream of color, just any color that comes in, even if it's just a beacon of color, that's your third eye. Indigo is the realm of that today. You could bring in purple to take it actually to a higher octave, a higher elevated spiritual channel, a new subscription channel. I think a lot of people need to subscribe to a new channel. Or add oceanic blue to bring your communication channel online. My throat was a little scratchy this morning. Matter of fact, look at this cute mug. It's my mom's. I drink out of it to bring in the energy of my mother, my ancestors. But the moon is in the last phase or the fade of Libra, the channel of receiving for our highest good. So if we're open to that, emotional feelings, open to the intuition, the receiving of the mind, along with our spirit space. So we kind of have a balanced value in my case. So I think this is the first Virgo season in a while that I have taken the time and the space to really clean out the cobwebs, whether it was my shed, my bedroom, my dining room. Like, I kind of had a little organized chaos happening. So I just was shedding things. So I really want to be more of this blossoming heart in a process. When we feel muddled, like we're muddy or confused in our thoughts, it's a discourse to make higher octave decisions, actually. So I would say make no decision if you feel that way. It's just an opinion. But it's also a day to Om, to take the time to Om with our wisdom and our intuition channel online. I would take time and space to actually Om through each and every one of your energetic centers. You can do them all at once. Or I am using about just picking a time to focus on just one throughout the day, where I just Om through that channel at least seven breaths, just to cleanse it out. And for fun, I tried to find an image, but the animal of the day, I actually just let my phone pick that out. You know how you can text in animal and then poop, the first animal that popped in was actually a giraffe, which I found that kind of funny. So with a giraffe, this is great. We have the ability to combine both vision and empathy within everything that we do and work through things in a graceful way in any situations. So the giraffe is one of trusting our perceptions. So it's just a time to let our foresight kind of lead the way, the vision, what you have been predicting all along in a way. It's saying that you should take action and actually follow through. And not only that, but the giraffe meaning is also telling us that our gut instinct and our clairvoyance are actually telling us something as well. So the gut instinct is more our solar plexus, the gut instinct and clairvoyance. Our third eye is online. So I thought it was hilarious when I picked this animal off my phone. And the spirit animal actually teaches us to tune in and listen to our heart, allow our awareness to actually lead the way. It's also symbolic of letting us know that we can also ask for help and even guidance in all the things, all the matters. Similar to the jaguar, which I found curious because when I was younger, my totem animal was this jaguar with these crazy eyes, and also a white tiger, which are still there, but not as bright as they used to be. So if you're confused in any way, just focus inward and follow your heart, right? So the giraffe actually is a reminder for our soul and our heart that they are connected. they're this reliable source of knowledge. It's right inside of us that we're seeking. So if it feels right, then that's when you follow through. But also in the same fashion, if it feels uncertain or questionable, then you go inward to see if it's not just your fear of change stopping you, because that will hold us in our tracks, fear of change. But change is, it's constant. It's always, life is always changing, all of it. Nature itself, Mother Earth, everything, right? So this giraffe also means to, or what it wants to say is if it feels wrong, look for another direction, take another path. And it's not enough to see actually out into the future. We also must continue to move forward into the future as well. And most people that have a giraffe totem as a gift or a higher perception, they also have inner higher awareness. The giraffe is not my totem animal. I just pulled it for today. But when you have the giraffe, you've also learned to make your words count and share your knowledge and your surroundings of others. It's similar to the rat in that way. So people with the spirit animal of the giraffe often actually know the future. They can sense what is going to happen and what lies over the horizon. As a result, they should really never become too complacent and lose sight of the future. It's like when you have a bunch of signs in front of your sun sign in astrology, you look more into the future, especially if it's like Mercury's ahead, Jupiter, and Venus, actually. Oh, I love the falcon. I actually had a peregrine falcon on there. So just tuning into a giraffe, you know, life, if you don't tune in, life can become increasingly kind of compromised or difficult until you set your sights again on your path, the path ahead of you. They also have firm family ties and friends, especially with parents and children, the ancestor realm. So they have this gentle and also gratefulness. And this action, they're always apparent to others. You can just see that in them. But for the most part, a giraffe in a dream, a vision, suggests that we need to consider the overall, the big picture, start taking in like the broader aspects of life, the view of life. And the vision might also be a metaphor on how, you know, how are you sticking your neck out for somebody? So, you know, in a dream space, to dream that you're riding a giraffe represents our desire to actually stand out from the crowd. Do you want attention, but you're not getting it? To dream that you're on a giraffe and it's actually running implies that we're kind of avoiding our truth or the truth. And it can also suggest that you might have seen something that you shouldn't have, which is actually curious. I think there's creates like a trauma bubble around that. So if you have a giraffe in your dream and it's red, in your dream, that's a warning signal. It's a warning that you're following a dangerous kind of path and your future is kind of at stake. So you want to just be aware of that. I always like to step back, take a breath, and take a pause when I get those alert signals. Not that I've ridden a giraffe, but just in general, whenever I get a signal that I, you know, take a breath, take a pause, step back, don't rush things. It's better to do that. And that's kind of what the giraffe says, to step back and find a new path. I just do it through taking a breath and a pause, or, you know, or a direction. So you're back on your soul narrative, your purpose. If it's green, which I love the color green, who doesn't, right? That's saying that there's a greener pasture ahead and that things are about to get easier for us. So what else is curious with our third lie online? I really found it curious that I was drawn to the giraffe. It was like this matchy within that. So for the cards of the day, I had some super fun. I went with my Mystical Shaman deck. I pulled Mini Pass and also the drum, so we'll get to that. But this kind of goes with the energy of the day. Mini Pass actually lead to the spirit and what we bring in our journey as well on our earth plane, the earth school. So it's actually a determining factor of our past. You know, are we going to suffer? Are we in a path of wisdom, a path of bliss, or even a path of loss? There's a variety of different paths that we can go on. on our journey. So just imagine in your mind's eye if you were a traveler and you met two craftsmen or stonemen or, craftsmen basically. And you ask one what he is doing. And in his response, his reply, he suggests that he's just squaring out the stones. He's just cutting the lumber. And then he asks the other what he's doing, and the exact same thing, and he gets a different reply where he is building a cathedral. He is building a wall. So in the narrative, one person has a job. The other man actually found his work and also his calling. So he's part of this endeavor that's much larger and greater than himself. So you want to be sure to pick a path with your heart space. And the invitation here with this card is your calling. The calling for now is to take that bigger, bolder step, leave the beaten path, and it's like heaven and earth are conspiring on our behalf to support us in this move, in shifting. So don't kind of ho-hum, dally around because, you're going to miss the thread the moment. It's really time to sail into this uncharted territory and be sure to attend to both, your path here through the earth realm as well as your journey through the galactic frontier, the stars. So it's kind of a message that, we've kind of outgrown our situation in all, in our day-to-day, in our inner world and out in the world itself, the global reality. But it's actually, we risk losing our way in our own backyard, in our own beingness. So we're being called to really step out of our comfort zone and respond now while the call is still a whisper. It's like the whispering winds, even though the words might look thick or unable to kind of penetrate to get in. I know sometimes I tell people things and I know they're not listening, but later they get it. 5 years, maybe, it doesn't really matter. So, and we all get our message, our memo in the time that we need it. So it's really, this card is like venturing in and allowing nature to guide our steps through the darkness until we reach our destination. And also, just remember, if you don't know where you're going, any path will actually take us where we need to go. So the other fun card I pulled, there we are, the drum. Awesome. So the drum, which I'm super excited about. So I have a yummy shaman's drum from Mongolia, gifted to me from the reindeer people, made just for them or by them, gifted to me. But the drum. So drums have rhythm. It's the rhythm of the drum kind of tunes into the beating of our own heart of the universe. I call my drum the fire drum. She just resonates with me. She needs fire to actually be played. I have to heat her up. But the wooden frame, it's all of the things. The wooden frame links us to the trees and assists us in our journey to the lower world, through the roots in the upper world and through the branches, right? And the skin on the drum gives the shaman the power of the animal kingdom. And striking the drum calls for the power of thunder and the rumbling of the earth, the winds, and all the good, outer realm kind of things. So this drum invites a trance state where healing and prophecy can actually happen. So we're being invited through the drum to take the next bold step into this earth journey. So I thought it was unique that I pulled many paths and then the drum, because it totally, it aligns with the energy of today. So just with these forces of heaven and earth that are aligned behind us and supporting without any effort at all, it's like this effortless energy. Today's really not a day to push against the river. The current is actually going to take us exactly where we want to go. We just kind of have to jump into those currents and collect all of our power tools, summon up our courage. It's going to be like this wild and glorious, magnificent ride or a journey, just allowing ourselves to be carried by the rhythm of what is actually really essential in our day-to-day reality in our life. So we've traveled to the beat of a different drum, right? So it's time to acknowledge that you don't fit in. You don't fit the mold, the role, the relationship. That's not really in tune with who you are at this moment. So find your personal rhythm and respond to that heartbeat, the heartbeat of a distant drum, right? So oftentimes the price we pay for lingering becomes higher with each passing day. Now it's time to move on, to move forward with the drum. Now, the other card I pulled, which is quite curious, and I love this deck. This is from my my Shadowscape deck. I pulled the Devil. But when you look at the card, you can see that she is being watched, even though she's upside down. She's in that little nest egg there. She feels not completely imprisoned, but there's still this vast world out there outside of that little bubble. The sky is actually sobbing with these melodies, this beauty, this freedom. And she's kind of tucked in there. She's bowing her head. She's snuggled in to escape from fear. She's created these little boundaries and walls and circles and whatnot, maybe some triangles, you never know. But they, you know, there are these weak little threads that are wrapping around her, and the key to access her liberation was to close. So I wish you could, you know, scream to wake her up, or even see the card better than like the image. However, she's just trying to turning her eyes, you know, turning inward for once. And if she would turn them outward and looking around to see. So, you know, the meaning of the Devil, it's the loss of our independence, the domination of addiction or slavery, kind of being stuck in the material kingdom, indulging in the passion and choosing to stay in the darkness and feeling the despair and the limitations in our choices. So the Devil plays on our desires with like a tempting touch, a tap, and he breaks and seeks freedom from not treating himself like the doll he actually is, and looking for behind those material bonds and those temptations. So in choosing this card, you know, it's this impressive detail in the crown in the Shadowscape Tarot. I love this entire deck. It was actually the first one I bought a long time ago. It just felt more spiritual to me, and I loved all the images. But with this card, so with the Devil, it brought back to this imprisoned woman. She's like stuck with him collapsing all around her. So it also shows a couple of ways to immerse in love, to give up everything, where we get entangled, we get imprisoned, where this woman, she was too greedy, regardless of everything, to get the power that she ultimately desires. There's this wall of confinement. It's very thin. It just appears thick. And just to form, you know, there's handcuffs that are kind of attached to this thinner thread that actually could be broken with just a little strength. Not to mention, if you can see it, there's a key right above her head. But she's just bent down, you know, and she's panicked. She didn't dare to face the trivial pursuits, the energetic hiccups. She's like, she let the greed and the, you know, being a kind of lack of courage take control of who she is. The wall was the embodiment of the human figurines with all the nuances of panic and helplessness, regret, longing for freedom. So she allowed the Devil to be her master, controlling her, trapping her heart. So it's the sticky, cold, and frightening hands. So she voluntarily plunged herself into this trap, this container, where there are the powers, the ambition, ruthless, you know, the tempting desires. So did she exchange her heart for the Devil to achieve all the things? So as for the Devil, he's the embodiment of the cold-hearted, intelligent, wise, confident person who knows what he will and what he will have to do. He always has a plan for everything that he does, and he always understands what his prey wants to lure them in automatically and to fall into his little demise, his little trap. He knows how to control them, and he cleverly makes them stay, right? So that he can get them to follow his wishes. And he also sees and judges things correctly. He's a foreseer. So he is carefully kind of detailed, or he finds all the minute little details. He's strong, he's ambitious, he's even powerful. And he's done these dangerous and full of temptation. But he is also miserable because he is lonely. So many people assume that the Devil is a bad card when it's drawn. I don't necessarily. So when you draw the Devil, you have to ask yourself, are you the victim or the Devil? Are you wise enough, or are you in the middle of a temptation? And who said ambition is not great? So who said that putting your heart aside to wisely complete your work was wrong? That will create success for you, right? However, don't let all that success control you like the devil, making you heartless. So the image on this particular card indicates the longer the woman lives inside, and the closer she gets to the devil, the less humane part of her becomes. So the naked truth, or gradually, it's going to be revealed over time. This card also refers to the torment and actually the emptiness in real life in the day-to-day. So we should live and set high ambitions and goals and strive for those things, but we should also be spending time listening to our heart instead of chasing after frivolous things, the needs and the wants. It's also a warning that we might be trying to follow, whatever that thread line is, will bring nothing but frustration or depression or anger or whatever that looks like. And that we can still escape from this vicious cycle, the circle, and you still try to follow the old path and kind of sink deeper. You can carry a lot of ambition and actually immerse yourself within that. No matter how hard you try, you're still stuck in the feeling. So you might have realized the dangers in your own living style, your lifestyle, but you have no way out. However, because of the ambitious personality, you can actually freely express yourself without any obstacle. So the advice is that you should review your living style, your lifestyle, and adjust it so you can achieve your personal desires in your heart space if you truly, really make that effort in a conscious way. So this card also says that we are kind of being mentally tortured by our unreachable dreams. So we wake up after a long and frustrating dream, getting angry at ourselves and everything around us. Bad or unhealthy habits kind of might appear. So this card is kind of suggesting that we should list what we really need or need to give up and learn how to let go and maintain a healthy lifestyle that will be a way for us to actually regain our confidence. Just do what you think is right for you and identify that. Identify it with the most objective perspective to get you back to yourself, to your authentic beingness. And sometimes, the meaning of the devil also brings positive things too. So, it advises us to be strong, act decisively. Even at times, sometimes we're forced to put our emotions aside and to fight and to compromise with others to win. So you own a greater ideal and ambition than we all think. We all have this. So with these cards and the energy of today, I found just to be, I am connecting to my heart and my soul using my inner voice, beating to my own drum. I'm in integrity with my feelings and being in my own golden light. And you listening to your alert signals, be on your path, your enlightened path, basically. So with all of that, I felt like that was a little longish. Inshallah, Ashe. And as always, I will see you on the other side.